Now, developing new products is one of the fun parts that we get to talk to or we get to talk about with marketing. So, according to one study, new products, those that are less than 5 years old, account for about 35% of total sales for major consumer and industrial goods companies. You do have to continue kind of finding new ways to keep your customers happy. There's not a lot of products that just stay stagnant, that they just are what they are, and people continue buying them over and over and over again. Even updating those things with new packaging kind of helps. So shampoo. The shampoo from Irish Spring. Do they even make shampoo? I was thinking of a green one, but I can't remember what it was. Pert? Yeah, we'll go with Pert. So the formula for their shampoo probably hasn't changed in decades, but the packaging has. They refresh the packaging to get people kind of more interested in their product, even though that might not have changed. Other companies, though, like Apple, they're working on another iPhone right now. And after that one comes out, there'll be another one, and then another one, and another one. They continually put out new products. How many of you have a PlayStation 3? Okay. One person, couple of people. How many of you have a PlayStation 4? Okay. And eventually there's going to be a PlayStation 5 or whatever the next one is until that product finally goes away. Now, that was actually an issue with the Xbox 360, is the Xbox 360 was actually such a good product and people liked it so much that it became very, very difficult for them to create a new product because they hadn't really burned out the old one yet. So as far as developing new products, though, new product development generally involves 7 key steps. You generate your idea, you screen your idea, you develop a business proposal, you develop the product, you test the product with consumers, introduce the product, and evaluate for customer acceptance. So that's a lot of stuff as far as figuring out new products, but every company does this on some sort of level, and it all kind of follows this basic path. So a couple of examples. School store. Hopefully within this week or next week, we will have a new supply of hats. Hats is always a bit of a tricky one because people are pretty finicky when it comes to hats. I can have a customer who comes in and says, this flex fit hat is totally awesome. I love this. And the next person that comes in says, oh, all you got is flex fit hats. I hate those. I want a mesh back hat. So people are finicky when it comes to hats. As far as how we decide to order them, we generate ideas. We sit down with a magazine. I have it right here with a whole bunch of Post-it notes coming out of it. Of what hats do we want to order? We go through all of these different hats to try to decide what people want. We use that idea phase and then screen those ideas. So I had different groups of students coming out with ideas of what hats they wanted to have in the school store, and then we take a look at those ideas and say, is that feasible? And kind of run it through a bit of a screening process. Unfortunately, bucket hats, I think you're the only one that's in that class. We had a student group that really wanted to do bucket hats. Nope, bucket hats did not make it through the screening process.
Oh, man.
So bucket hats got cut.
Oh, cut.
So
Fired.
some places, though, develop a proposal and then develop that particular product. For us, we're ordering that product right now and having it go through our supplier, Coach's Corner, and we're essentially coming up with a prototype. We don't order a lot of hats the first time around. I think we're only ordering 6 of each type of hat that we order because we want to see what they do. So we're not going to throw out, 200 hat orders until we know that it's something that's actually going to sell. So that's a bit of a tricky part for us. We test the product with consumers. Generally, the testing part for us in the school store comes with sales. How many stadium chairs did we order? 6.
Oh, gosh,
good memory. We're close. We ordered 6 stadium chairs. This is always the tricky part with that because stadium chairs are one of those things that people always say that they want. However, when it comes to paying $50 for a chair, sometimes that doesn't always come through. So we tested it. We ordered 6 of them. How many have we sold so far?
I don't know. I can look at
5.
Oh,
we got them in last week, and we have 1 left, I think. So that's a pretty successful test for us. We put the new Panther design on it, and so we've got a pretty good looking chair, but man, it sold quickly. We haven't even been open for a volleyball game or any of the games in which you would actually use those in the gym. So that signals to us that's a thumbs up. That's a pretty good thing. So introducing the product and then evaluating that customer acceptance is that what we do then. We see how things went. All of our hats from our previous order from last year, I think we have like one hat left of each of them. They've all sold pretty well. And so we're taking some of those elements from those hats and putting them into new products. And so even as something as small as the school store, we're still continuing to try to get new products and push what's the next thing and see how things work out. We're going back to the hockey tie sweatshirts because that's usually a fairly popular one. Stuff with a lot of female clothing, that's the stuff that's worked. So we're constantly evaluating new products in the school store. Let me give you a tragic story of one that did not work out real well for us. Fidget spinners.
Oh, no.
So this was a story gone wrong and why this process broke down. We had a student who was convinced fidget spinners were the thing of the future and needed to be in the school store. So in the generating ideas proposal, he didn't really generate a lot of ideas. He had one idea stuck in his head, and that's what he wanted to have. You were in that class, weren't you? Yes. I hold you partially responsible. Were you in there with Berger? You were in the class with Ryan Berger, right? It was last year.
Last year, no.
It was last year, wasn't it? Or was that 2 years ago? Maybe you weren't in there. Anyway. So the screening of ideas, we did not properly screen that idea. We knew that it was unpopular. I told him to go survey students. He said that he did. He showed me a spreadsheet with people that said, yes, we should buy it. I don't know if that data was fudged or not or how those things happened, but we developed a business proposal and then developed that product. The minimum order was 100. I believe we still have 90 that have to sell. So the consumer response and the introduction of the product, not real good. The problem is, and if I skip down a little bit, I'll come back to these. But the problem is, where is it? Killing me here. I know you're in here. This is the problem. This is the product life cycle. And we're going to get to this probably tomorrow after I get through more of my stages of notes. You saw this in the other class because it makes a difference. But this is a wonderful little chart that shows you the life of a product. Every single product goes through this. Every one of them. Now, it's just a matter of how long that timeline is and how high the dollars part of it is. But every product starts off at an introduction phase where people don't know a lot about it. They figure out more about it, and it grows, and people want it. And then it hits this part where it's at peak maturity, where you could sell as much of it as you can, and then it begins to decline. The only difference with every product that's out there is just this time. So fidget spinners. At the time that we ordered them, I would say they were somewhere right about here starting to come down. So we received our order right about here when they were in decline and nobody wanted them anymore. That was a bit of an issue. Different games, though, go through this. So let's take a look at Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Where are we in this thing for it? I would say we're in growth right now. So introduced last week, we are in growth. Has it totally matured yet? No, probably after Christmas, because a lot of people are going to get that game for Christmas, and it's going to be right up here. By this time next year, when you guys are taking my class next year, and we talk about Call of Duty 4, how much interest is there going to be in that game? None. It's going to hit its eventual decline.
Well, if it's a good game.
Possibly. Fortnite had a much longer shelf life, but where's Fortnite right now? Is Fortnite maybe right about here? Ever since Call of Duty came out, there might still be people certainly in it. It might be peaked at this maturity part, but we know that Fortnite's not down here, the introduction and growth phase. So that's what we need to look at with certain products. Every single product goes through this. Coca-Cola has been around for decades, almost 100 years. Coke is still on this. There was a point in time where nobody really knew what it was, and then it grew tremendously. Now it's worldwide. They're about as big as they could possibly get. But as far as people figuring out, what Coke does to you if you drink too much of it, they're kind of set up for a decline, but who knows when that's going to be. But it's going to happen eventually because it happens to every single product. So let me back up again. What's that? Well, but that's why Coke has come out with different products, though. When you think about the different things that Coke has come out with, they don't have just Coca-Cola anymore. They have Diet Coke. They have Cherry Coke. They have Diet Cherry Coke. They have... There's hundreds of different Coke products that they've come out with. And it's not just something under the Coke name. There's all sorts of different ones. Unfortunately, last year we did not get to go to the Coke Museum for DECA because it was closed on that one day that we were there in Atlanta and planned our trip to go there. But the Coke Museum in Atlanta is amazing because there's this thing that you end the tour with being able to sample any of like hundreds of sodas. And so they have like the most bizarre stuff you've ever had, like strawberry kiwi things from Thailand and all these different places. So it's really, really cool. But you really see the different products that they offer and why they keep coming out with new things because they're trying to stay relevant. So new product ideas can come from a variety of places, including customers, competitors, channel members, and also employees. So you can look for new product ideas from anywhere. Competition is obviously a good thing for people. The hockey tie sweatshirts, the reason why we have those in the school store, we've seen other schools that have those. If you guys saw the shirts, Once a Panther, Always a Panther, there's a shirt that looks exactly like that one in Chippewa Falls High School. We stole it directly from them. So we get some of our ideas from other people. But we listen to our customers also and what they want to have. So there's a lot of different places that you can get ideas for different products. Now, many companies that manufacture consumer packaged goods use a task force approach to new product development, bringing together employees from different departments to take a concept from the idea stage through the steps of product development. So if you work at a larger company, you might be part of this process in the idea phase and then taking it through and kind of handing it off to different departments to create something. So Taco Bell, and this is always amazing with the fast food industry because they're always looking for the next big thing. But if Taco Bell comes up with like a barbecue burrito, somebody thinks of that idea at Taco Bell headquarters, or they see it somewhere else. They come up with the idea, and then they pass it off to the production department, who puts together a bunch of different burritos and has a test panel try out those different burritos. And so they say, yep, this one's good, this one's terrible, this one's bad. And then they take that burrito and they test it in small markets. So this might be like, we're going to test it in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and see how the barbecue burrito goes over. And it might be tremendously popular in that one place, and they decide to expand it further and then finally roll it out nationally. So that's why you see sometimes special menu stuff. You see it a lot at our Subways. If you're a frequent Subway person, you'll know that you can't get the same thing at different Subways. I'm almost positive it's the barbecue shredded pork something. Oh, what the heck is that? No, it's barbecue chicken. You guys ever try to get a barbecue chicken? Like, I think only one of the local Subways actually carries it because they're always in different places with test markets. So I know the Holman one doesn't have it, but I think this West Salem one over here has it, but the one on the highway doesn't. It's kind of all over the place. I just know that because it's my wife's favorite sub. And whenever I have to order them, I usually have to try to remember which one I have to go to in order to get the one she likes. So that's just kind of how developing new products go. During the screening process, ideas for products are evaluated, and then they are checked to see if they could potentially conflict with existing products. Screenings can involve concept testing where customers try to find products that deserve further study. So it is possible that you could create too many products and you start to hurt some of your other sales. So I think the PlayStation does that with controllers. They have so many different types and colors of controllers that I think they have too many. And you could kind of flood your own market, and people wouldn't be really interested in buying something, because how many PlayStation controllers do you need? 2, maybe 3 in case one breaks. But if you go to the store and they're selling 60 of them with all different types of colors and all other expanded stuff, I just don't think anybody's going to be a controller collector.
Maybe that's my new hobby. You know?
What's that? Collecting controllers, which is really hard to say. Also, a business proposal is developed to evaluate new products in terms of size of the market, potential sales, the cost and profit potential. There's other technological trends, then overall competitive environment and the level of risk. Each one of these things is just important when you think about putting out a new product, what this means for your other products and what it means for expense. So if you're going to put out a new steak burrito, if you're Taco Bell, steak is generally more expensive. Is that going to be worth it as far as the cost potential? We would love to do Nike stuff with the store. And I know that people are always asking for Nike stuff, Under Armour stuff. We've tried it. We've looked at our potential sales for that. We think people would be interested in, but the problem is the cost and potential profit just doesn't make any sense for us. Just to give you a t-shirt example, the cost on a regular t-shirt for us is probably between $6 and $7. And we usually sell them for between 10 and 12, depending on what the shirt is. If we had a shirt from Nike, it's probably going to cost us between 12 and 15 just to get the shirt in the store. So which means we'd likely have to sell them at around $20, which sounds okay, but that escalates the higher up you get. If you're looking at a sweatshirt, it might cost us $50 to get a Nike sweatshirt in. Well, I wouldn't say that people are probably going to buy it if it's over $60 for a sweatshirt. It's iffy if people are going to do that. And so that's a lot of money. We just don't make the profit on it. If we can get a sweatshirt for $20 and sell it for $30, I think people will be much happier having our lower price stuff in there. So there's always a lot of different options and things to consider when you're putting out new products into the market. During the product development, the new product idea takes on a physical shape. The marketers develop a marketing strategy. The company makes plans related to the production, packaging, labeling, branding, promotion, and distribution. So the other parts of marketing kind of get involved at this point, and they make an evaluation to see if they can create that product and promote it. This is always fascinating with me because how many of you guys drink the Mountain Dew Baja stuff? Baja Blast, but there's a whole line of them that Mountain Dew's come up with. And this is funny because I actually had some kids in class last year that were all about the Baja Blast. How many of you guys eat Taco Bell breakfast? That was a huge rollout probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And like my class was so excited. It was a marketing 2 class that Taco Bell was finally going to have breakfast. And people were just totally pumped about it. And there was so much marketing that went into that. And that is something that's just kind of hit. And Subway got into the breakfast market. I don't know if they're still doing it. McDonald's has been doing it for years, but they were really the only ones. So everybody else kind of looked at that and made their plans related to, can we have this and is it sustainable? Is Taco Bell still doing breakfast? Yeah. Okay. I haven't really heard much about it. It was such a huge promotion at the time that they kind of scaled it back a little bit. Okay, so the products are then tested to see how they will hold up during normal and not so normal use by the consumer. If applicable, goods are tested for side effects during this stage. So there is a bit of a testing phase to go through. Generally this has to do with more with like drug companies testing out new drugs and things like that, making sure they're not side effects. But food can go through a testing phase as well. This is kind of fun because one of the bigger regrets I ever had was this, just the worst thing ever. We were in Orlando 4 years ago for DECA, and we were at Universal Studios, and we were just about to go, and I was kind of wrangling up the students, and a guy came up and asked me if I would like to test watch a television show, which is like my dream. I've always wanted to do that. So it's exactly what they do. Universal releases a television show to an audience. So they bring in a bunch of people, and you have to sign like a waiver that you're not going to talk about it or anything else. And you watch this show, and then you tell them, whether you liked it or not. That is exactly what television shows do. They create a pilot show, and then you watch that show and kind of give your opinion on it. If enough people in your test audience like it, then they'll release the show or make more of it. So if you guys ever look on Netflix, usually the first show in a series is always called the pilot. That's usually what the title is. That's why. That is the test show that they showed everybody else. Some of them, you can see the production value of that first show is really, really low. And if they really like the show, then it all of a sudden gets more production value the second, third, fourth episode, and as seasons evolve. So I never got to find out what that show was because they can't tell you anything about it because they want you to be completely like non-biased when you walk into it. But several movies, they make huge changes to movies after they test them because they look at what audience reaction is. Justice League. Justice League had a horrible test run that everybody looked at and said, my gosh, this is so dark and it's really not good. They actually went back and had to reshoot a whole bunch of scenes, brought all the actors back and everybody else and set up the stuff to shoot more scenes to make it more like a Marvel movie because everybody said Justice League was too dark. This has happened so many times. Any of you guys know who Bruce Willis is?
Yes.
Who's Bruce Willis? He's the Die Hard guy. Okay, so way back in the 80s, Bruce Willis was on a TV show. It was really popular. It was called Moonlighting, where it was like a romantic it was like a romantic comedy TV show. And so it was really popular and he was really good at it, but they decided to put him into a movie where he was all action. It was the first Die Hard. And they tested that to audiences, and audiences saw this guy who was like this romantic comedy guy as an action hero, and like audiences laughed at it. They said it was like the most ridiculous thing they'd ever seen, and like there's no way this is ever going to work. And so 20th Century Fox was actually the production company at the time, scrapped Bruce Willis from everything for their ads. If you look at all the ads and the marketing from the 80s of Die Hard, it was just a black poster with the words Die Hard on it. They didn't say who was in the movie because it tested so poorly. Now the movie came out and was a total hit, so obviously test audiences can be wrong, but a lot of movies make huge decisions based off those test markets. This is where the whole Superman mustache thing came in. Anybody know about that one? Okay, so they found out Justice League looked really, really bad to test audiences. They brought everybody back. The problem is the guy playing Superman was in a different movie, which required him to have a mustache. So Superman with a mustache looks kind of weird. So they actually digitally removed his mustache. That's why his face looks all weird at the end of Justice League, is because they removed his thing. And it was a thing. Anyway.
Wait, how was that show that you watched?
I didn't get to watch it. I had to leave. I was so heartbroken. I wanted my whole life to be in a test audience to watch some TV show and say, yes, this show is awesome, or oh my God, this show is awful. I didn't get a chance to do it. We had to leave. It was our last day in Florida. We had to get on the van because we had to go to the airport because we had a flight. Like, I would have done anything to stay there except miss my flight and the flight of all the students I was with because I was test watching a movie or something like that. So, I'm going right back to that spot this year. When we go down there for DECA in Florida, I'm going to that spot in Universal, and I'm going to stand there and wait for somebody to ask me to test screen a movie. So I have no idea what the show is. The show could have been like the greatest show ever.
Man, that's so sad.
No, all they say is, would you like to screen a television show?
If you don't get it.
What?
If you don't get it.
Oh, I'll just walk around saying, can I screen a TV show?
Yeah,
I'd like to screen a TV show. Yeah. So I desperately want to do that. So yeah, I have no idea what that show was, if it was any good or any of it.
It could have been the best show ever.
What? This is 4 years ago because DECA rotates So it was 4 years ago, and it was in Orlando. Could have been Stranger Things. I
Yeah.
could have been one of the first people to see Stranger Things.
Wow. That's sad. But that would have put you with the only.
I know. And I could walk around saying, I saw that. I test marketed that. All right, I'm going to stop there with the notes today. You guys have been awesome. Just make sure you get your Frayer vocab in, because I'm going to put those into the grade book. And we do have we got T-Bone here tomorrow. And make sure your computers are charged tomorrow, because you will be using them. You haven't met T-Bone yet. Or no, you did. But you will not be here tomorrow. Who else is not going to be here tomorrow? Okay, there may be a group thing. I'll make sure you get assigned to one. Oop.